Okay, so I just got out of seeing Presents and I've already released my Out of the Theatre reaction. You can go check that out on my channel right now. It's a good time. And now this is going to be my spoiler-free review on the film. So to give you a short synopsis on what this film is about, is this is entirely set from the first-person perspective of the spirit. Is you're seeing it from the eyes of what the spirit is seeing. And this film revolves around a family that moves to a new house, and there's some drama going on amongst the family, and some weird stuff starts happening around the house, and they're trying to figure out what it is. So now moving on to the positives of Presents, the biggest positive for me that I took away from Presents was the performances. Everyone across the board in the film, I thought did a really good job. This film features Lucy Liu, who is always a great actress, no matter what she's in. She always amplifies her material, and once again, she does not disappoint in here. She is really good. I really liked the older brother. I liked the father figure of the family. There's a lot of moments throughout the film where the camera is centered on the characters' conversations, and I thought the family had some really good back and forth dialogue. I thought the chemistry with the family was really good. I liked the quieter moments with the characters, where you're seeing them laughing and having a good time, separating the drama and the mean that comes with this family. Seeing those moments, seeing them actually talk and laugh and actually act like a loving family, I thought they really sold it. And now just speaking on the characters for a quick second, I really, each character kind of has their own personality and their own issues that they are dealing with. We have our main character who's the quiet one of the family. She's the lonely one, and I thought she was one of the most interesting characters in the film. We have the dad character and the mum character, and they're the ones who are trying to kind of keep the main separated from the children, which I really liked that aspect, of the of the parents dynamic, because I think any parent out there, they don't want to involve their kids. They don't want to ruin their childhood or their upbringing with drama that they made. So I really liked that aspect. And then we have this other character, Tyler or Dylan, I guess the best friend to the older brother in the film. I think he was by far the most interesting character in the film. He's not in the movie a whole lot. He kind of comes and goes. He is more there in the middle of the second act going into the third act, and he's a bit of a sketchy guy. He is I was hoping by the end of the film that the spirit would drag him out of the house, or something like that, or throw him to a wall, or I don't know, something. I was just hoping that this guy would get his just desserts, because this guy is an absolute douchebag. Because I don't want to give away too much here, but he's the definition of someone that likes to abuse other people. And so you kind of see inside of his system at how he functions, and I guess what his planning process is. this film isn't really scary, you know, per se. You know, I do want to get that off my back. Is this isn't really a horror film. Like, you know, there's a few moments, you know, of tension, you know, throughout the film. There's like a really uncomfortable rape scene in the film, which I was not expecting that. Like, it's in like the last 15 minutes of the movie, and I started seeing, I guess all of the dust being, you know, set up, you know, for something like that to happen. But yeah, I didn't expect them to actually, I guess, go forward with it. And, you know, that was a very, you know, uncomfortable scene, as you are very, you know, up and close and very personal with that certain scene in the film. So yeah, like, I guess if you're, you know, I guess if that is a trigger for you when it comes to films, you know, I'd recommend, you know, probably closing your eyes for that scene. And really, like, the last 10 minutes of this movie was honestly like the most enjoyable 10 minutes, you know, of the entire film. So yeah, I've already spoken about the characters. You know, something that needs to get praise here is the cinematography. And the direction, and, you know, and the sound design. And I'm going to speak about, you know, all three of these separately. So cinematography first. You know, really every scene in this film is shot in the one shot, you know, style of cinematography. You know, we've seen it in a few films now, and when it's used well, it is really effective, and it is a great way to tell your story. And, you know, I thought they utilized it really well here. You know, I thought the pacing and the timing with the cinematography, you know, as far as like how much time should be spent with, you know, with following this character up the stairs, or going from one room to another, like what the pacing and the timing of that should be. You know, I thought this, you know, there's definitely some post-production work to speed up certain scenes, you know, throughout the film. But yeah, you know, the cinematography, it is very fluent. It's very relaxing and, you know, and nice on the eyes. You know, I will talk about the cinematography in just a second, because that is a negative as much as it is a positive. You know, there's also a downside to it as well. So now moving on to to the directing here. You know, the directing is strong, you know, in every part, you know, of this film. Like, it being shot, you know, in one shot. You know, you don't really have like cuts to kind of separate, you know, to separate a sequence. And, you know, and the fact that they were able to pull this off, and the fact that the direction is as strong as what it is, you know, I really praise that aspect of it. And now, you know, the sound design in the film is immaculate. Like, you know, that's something that has, you know, really surprised me this year. You know, first with Wolfman and now with this film, is, you know, is sound design is starting to really pop again in the horror genre, which is really good to see. And, you know, the sound in the film sounds amazing. in other words, you know, just going from, like, you know, background sounds of like people, you know, walking around the house, to the wind outside, to hearing cars go by. Like, you know, it really brings this environment to life, and it's a great way to immerse your audience into the film. So, you know, yeah, props on the sound design. I really liked the music in the film, where there was music. You know, the music in this film I wouldn't really call mainstream per se. Because there are some kind of weird music choices in certain parts of the film, but somehow it fits really, really well with the scene and the overall tone of the film. So props to the music department. I thought the music sounded great in the opening 10 minutes of the film, but this is a much more sound based experience rather than a musical kind of driven film. And now moving on to the negatives now. I did want to come back to the cinematography, because one thing that was really distracting when watching this movie actually was when they were cutting was these cuts in the middle of each sequence, and it almost felt like a montage to me. Is you would have one sequence and it would go to these black bars and it would hold on the black bars for 5 or 10 seconds, and I thought they could have trimmed that down a lot. I didn't think it needed to be that long. It happens all throughout the film, and this doesn't really come back so much to the cinematography side of things, because I know that this is a movie, there's always going to be cuts, but it was a very weird way to edit your film, and it was very distracting to me. That actually took me out of the film. Once the scene did get going, I did get sucked back into it, but the fact that there was that pause that kind of broke that illusion that was already built, I didn't think it was the best structure wise, for the film. And the characters, I might be someone who's a bit more, critical on wanting kind of, good characters in a film. And while all the characters, were likable for the most part, and they worked really well together. A lot of the drama that goes on with this family, a lot of it just doesn't really feel like it's explored that much. There were some themes of the movie, and there were some conversations that we're having where I was like, that is really interesting. I would like to see more of that. But then it's really only for that scene, and then they kind of lose it. And then the second issue with this movie, which this is the one that really grinds my fucking gears. This is the one I absolutely hate. Is okay, so your family has just walked into a room, where lights are flashing and shit's being, thrown around. And in the very next sequence in the film, they're still at this house and they're acting like nothing happened. Are you fucking kidding me? I understand that's a trope, and this movie is playing with horror tropes, but god damn, you have to be the most, pathetic characters if you're like, oh, this is normal, shit being thrown around a house. That's alright, I'm used to that. Bullshit. If that happened to me, I'd be out of that house within seconds. No questions asked. If you want to stay here, sure, but I'm fucking out of here. The fact that they just kind of move on with their day as it never happened. And that's literally, from really that point on, this felt like two different movies. Because the first part of the movie felt more intact with the haunted house kind of aspect. But then the second part of the movie is it feels so distant. Is there some multiverse shit going on here? Are these alternate versions of the characters that were in the first half of this movie? Because if these are normal people, I wouldn't be leaving my kids. If you really care about your kids, get them out of the house. So that was something that definitely did kind of annoy me towards the end of the film. And I felt as I've said, you know, they introduced themes and stories throughout the film, but they really didn't do anything with it, you know, which was a disappointment, because I was actually, you know, invested in, you know, in potential ideas that they were going to introduce in the film. So that was a disappointment. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of like development kind of with these characters, and then the third thing that I wasn't a fan of in this movie is this is just boring. Like this is very much like, you know, an experimental, you know, type of film, you know, in the style of like Skinamarink, where for the most part it is kind of shots of a house. You know, the difference between this and Skinamarink is this film is a lot more interesting than that film will ever be. But, you know, it does kind of, you know, follow that same you know, kind of concept here. And, you know, I think also having characters that you really aren't into, like, as from like an enjoyment factor, it's, you know, it's not very entertaining. There's a lot of scenes in this movie where, you know, you can probably leave the cinema for like 5 minutes and you can go back in and you'd be able to pick up the pieces as to what's happening really fast, because, you know, this film kind of feels more like a soap opera, you know, being honest, because like this film just, it moves at such a slow pace. Felt like this film is only 86 minutes long, but you know, in my head, this could have, like, this was probably longer, like an 86 minute film. So you know, felt more like, you know, 110 minutes. Like, you know, that was just kind of the pace where you're seeing these conversations, but, you know, it's kind of got to a point now where it's like, I know you're going to do nothing with this, so what's the point on getting invested in this story and then being let down in the very next scene? So, you know, yeah, the immersion factor, you know, it, you know, isn't the strongest here. What else? You know, I did want to, I guess, kind of elaborate a bit more, you know, a bit more on the spirit here, which this is also, you know, still in the negative category, but there's just so much more that they could have done with this story and with this concept. This is a great concept. If I read this, I would be like, fuck yes, that's a great idea, do it. And like, they could have kind of, you know, dug more into like the supernatural aspect as to how things that happen in a haunted house film actually happen. They do it for one scene, that's it. And just, yeah, you know, and, you know, like, this is kind of what would have been, I think, much better for the editing. Is this film is only, you know, for the most part, only set during the day. So, you know, what I would have done here is I would have, you know, during those nighttime sequences when the characters are asleep, because, you know, there's always that trope in haunted house films where, you know, the characters go to bed and, you know, and next time they wake up, either a room is completely trashed or everything's moved around where they're not in the right position. I think this film would have really benefited from a scene like that. But the fact that they wake up every day and everything is in the exact same spot, like, I understand, you know, this spirit isn't exactly, you know, evil per se, but just this film really just could have, like, I don't know, benefited from, like even a stalking scene, honestly, where like where the spirit is just kind of watching them, you know, as they sleep. You know, to me, that is, you know, that is disturbing. Like, that is, yeah, like, yeah, you know, that's messed up. That's, you know, there's actually, you know, I guess there's actually, you know, an uncomfortable kind of feeling there. So, you know, this film really could have done a lot more with its concept, and I just don't know why. I don't know why they didn't push it. Like, this film is marketed as a POV, you know, of the spirit film. That's the selling point. That's where they're going to get a lot of their money and a lot of the interest from. But one thing you have to know is they don't do shit with it. Like, you know, the moments when lights are flashing and the spirits are actually in the room, like, those moments are cool. Do more of that. But, you know, then, you know, it's kind of, you know, separating that for a second, moving kind of back into the positives category here. You know, I did like how this was kind of like a different type of spirit. You know, they really don't lean into, you know, who this spirit is, or, you know, or what they are, or where it's come from. Like, none of those questions are answered. I think that's something that this film also could have benefited from. You know, I'm setting myself up a lot there, but yeah, you know, there's just a lot more they could have done. You know, I did like how in most haunted house or, you know, spirit demonic movies, you know, it's always, you know, oh, you know, the spirit's evil. In this one, you know, there's, you know, it's kind of a good spirit. You know, there's a character's death that is only mentioned, not seen in the film. Character's named, you know, Nadia. I only remember that because of American Pie. You know, great fucking scene in that first movie as well. Great scene. But yeah, there's a character, Nadia, who dies, and, you know, she's the spirit of this house, but there's never any definitive answer. So, you know, so is that Nadia? Is that not Nadia? Like, you know, I think it's suggested that it is her. And, you know, that does make sense within certain scenes that happen, you know, throughout the film. You know, there's like a scene when the spirit's, you know, trying to awake the brother at the end because the sister's in trouble. And so, you know, yeah, this is definitely, you know, a good spirit. But then what follows, you know, what follows that scene is, you know, is where seeing this situation, and I don't want to give any spoilers away, but you see this situation play out, and, you know, and the spirit is watching, and you decide to waste more time to go wake up the brother than you know, and it's clear throughout the film that this spirit, you know, has the ability to kind of, you know, push things and move things around. So just, oh, I hate this so much. It's just, you know, it's just get this motherfucker up and throw him to a wall. Like, why did you not do that? Like, there's so, like, I understand, you know, budget constraints and all of that. I understand that, okay. You know, I'm probably a little bit mad just because this movie had so much potential. It really did. And, you know, there's scenes like that could have, you know, really been cool. And I think could have got honestly a better reaction, you know, from the audience, you know, as well. But, yeah, you know, they, you know, as I said in my out of the theatre reaction, this film is a missed opportunity. You know, a great concept, but a missed opportunity. And, you know, I still, you know, strongly believe that statement is because, yeah, this film, while there's a lot of things I liked and there's a lot of things, you know, I thought worked, you know, really well, you know, such as the performances and the cinematography, direction, and, you know, production value, and, you know, all of that. The one key thing that they should not have, I guess, let the ball drop on was the spirit. And in this one, you know, this is not a film I am ever going to go back. I am ever going to go back and rewatch. Like, you know, I can probably see myself, you know, watching kind of scenes from the film, you know, there's a scene at the end, like this is in like the last probably 2 minutes of the movie, where like, you know, I guess there is this jump scare type of moment, you know, which I thought was very effective and worked well within the story that is being told. So yeah, anyways, on one hand, I really want to like kind of praise this movie and say, go out and watch it, and and support independent filmmakers, and support unique and different films, because creativity has been lost. It's all remakes, reboots, sequels. It's all that bullshit now. So it's like, when we get a film that's actually trying to do something different, I want to praise it. I want to be on the movie side and say to you guys, this is a must see. Go check it out. But I don't think this film is really going to be for anybody. This is a haunted house movie. Watch The Conjuring. That's a much more interesting. It's a scary movie. It utilizes, I guess, the spirit concept in a much better way than what this film did. And almost 99% of haunted house films, they would be better than what this is. But if you're in the mood for an experimental, haunted house film, and you want to see something different outside of that formula, and you want to see it from the spirit's perspective, I'd say, this is definitely, it's definitely worth a watch. I think this is definitely a film that we should at least, appreciate the effort, behind this film. So, anyways, guys, I've been yabbering on for like half an hour now. So, let me know down in the comment section down below, what did you think of Presence? Have you got a chance to see it yet? I got a chance to see it early. It comes out in Australia in a couple of days. What did you think of it? And I'm excited to hear everyone's feedback. So anyways, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. So stay safe, have a good day or night wherever you are in the world, and stay awesome as always.